Are you set up as the host? Because the host is the one who launches the meeting and invites people away. It's a little bit of two meetings last year.
I have no idea. Oh, there you are, Reed. I was in the wrong meeting.
Right.
I honestly, and Vicky, Nicole's membership is not gonna be here.
Oh, okay,
So
whatever.
I'm gonna say yes.
I think
How's
I'm
that?
okay.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, what's the minute?
Okay, Reed, can you hear me?
Yes,
So the speaker's working?
yes, through my
Awesome.
phone, and now you can see me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're up and we're fine. So it's
Perfect,
work.
perfect. So we're good to go.
All right. Nice.
Hi there.
All right, can I?
Works.
Works.
I'm Donna.
Just-
Linda, come on in. You need you said, I haven't been here in a long time. Maybe right up here, I'm trying to find you a spot. This is all mess. Sweet. Yeah. I'll move Mary, she'll be fine. But you need an end, right? Yes, please. So I can go. There you go. Move, Mary. Thank you. He's out floating around in the ocean. Out in the ocean. No. I just know he's out in the ocean.
He's at sea.
He's at sea.
Means confused.
I did, I'm looking you over so that you can sit there. I did it. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
I just found it, I took my leg. I did. Perfectly fine. We're gonna go get something right here. You have to go out to the barn and order, go all the way. Go back, straight back. And you want me to order something for you? Or are you gonna get it? I can get there, I just don't know where to go. Oh, yeah, just go at the bar. Yeah, we have time, right? Yeah, yeah. Start at 6:30, yeah. And what 15 minutes. I know, time is flying. Maybe I should wait. She can go get it. Oh, no, it's plenty of time. Tell them to bring it in when they're ready. Oh, honey, you can come back and watch it. Bye. I'll leave that. I'll put my person here.
That's not.
Oh, they usually don't need really that, I'm just home.
Hello.
She's fine. I use my wife and my week for 3 weeks. I'm resting. My daughter is now family and Well, the husband starts to be off, but she needed to start to get the bank. The new house, and all they're doing is rushing around.
Really slow on the food.
And I'll pop back up.
They're pretty busy today.
Yeah, I think I can.
I've always been. Well, for me, for me.
Been 4.5 years. My granddaughter was. Been my wife. I was once. So, really grandparents for the first time.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's actually from Japan, as a souvenir, my daughter got. Yeah, good taste.
Can you send out the email?
Chris. Chris, is that your turn?
That I'm getting her.
Oh, okay.
So I guess they need to. People keep telling me that they got this, they got that.
Well, he had one of my, I saw on the list, he has my old email. But my husband gets, when I worked, I had 3 emails. And I just had everything go to my husband that wasn't about work.
Yeah. It's a. It's in a minor. I've had an email for years, and then I stopped using it, and then I tried to get back.
Oh, good afternoon. It's afternoon, yeah.
I asked for you. And I was doing.
Oh,
Donna, I have next part.
I'm sorry?
It's Vicky.
Yes, we are. Perfect, thank you.
You two want to hear about it.
Who?
Vicky.
Vicky is camping.
No.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi
Can you hear
there.
me? I can't hear you, though.
Why can't you hear me? I turned my mic on. Says I'm on. You still don't hear me?
I'm just curious if this is going to work. Yep. This perfect spot. You can see. So we're just waiting on Rob.
The email that Chris is.
Hi, Dina.
You can tell me, is
Can you hear me? I wonder if I have it's on. Can you hear me, Donna? I'm gonna go with no. Wonder why not? I'm thinking you had the audio on the wrong thing, Donna. Okay, let's go to chat.
Can you hear me right, Chris?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
you can hear me, but I can't hear you for some reason. Okay.
Did you check the,
I'm good. How are you? Ah, there you go. Yeah. 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 So you're welcome to stay and listen to Rob Lorei. Okay. Jeff owns this establishment.
Hey, Jeff, I'm Rob.
Hi, Jeff O'Shea.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Have we seen each other before?
Yeah, he is the radio host at WEDU.
Ah,
Yeah, TV.
TV, radio, you're into everything.
So it's,
how I better,
how long is this business?
must not have that turned on
Since
either.
1990. It's ugly on the outside, but it's pretty good on the inside. Yes. Always. It'll be this full till 1 in the morning.
And all sorts of people.
Bowling's more popular than ever.
That's like
He's
cool.
making a phone call. I think
Wanna
he's
know
worried about
another
not being
fact
able
about
to
bowling?
hear.
The most recognizable sound in the entire world is the sound of pins crashing
Oh, yeah.
in the world.
Right, it's cross-cultural. You go to Asia or Russia or.
Well, it is in every country. It is above
Is that lady
telephone,
calling you
above lightning,
about not
above
being able to
rain,
hear, Don?
crashing pins.
This place is
I'm
giant.
sorry, say that
Is
again.
that lady calling you about not being able to hear?
I don't think so.
Said it's the output, the audio output was wrong.
Where are my glasses?
That's what
Yeah.
Chris says.
The audio output is wrong.
Yeah, that's what she said.
How do I
Why-
fix that?
Look under chat.
It looks like-
And how do I fix that?
Telling her that.
Yeah, they're telling to go to chat.
Yes.
Where's,
I think you have my speaker on the wrong output. Go to audio and check your speaker output. Also check that you have the volume turned up.
Florida original.
I was doing this. Half there, half
Brains.
Not a redneck. Got that? Not a redneck,
Yes, you are.
but a hillbilly, yes. No, I am not. Those rednecks do not understand that they lost the war. Okay? Somebody needs to explain that to them. I'm tired of hearing about the northern aggression. Okay, it was not the northern aggression, no. It's just they lost.
I should
And
award my
they
Civil
need to
War
figure
hat
that out.
tonight.
They
Can't
need
read
to
it.
take down that Confederate
What
flag.
is he talking about?
They need to put on a little
The
weight,
volume's
wear
turned up.
jeans that fit them.
Well,
Right?
the output,
Get out of the back of the truck. And I'm just the one to tell
Stand
You
up.
know?
them. I stand up to everybody, just about.
If you'd like.
The gang
something to
members are
eat
afraid of
or
me.
Something to drink, it's on us.
One night we had a guy causing problems in here.
Trying to figure
So I
out.
called the higher ups in the gang.
Speaker thingy to
Next
work.
day, we found him dead in the ditch. They killed.
Hi, everyone. For anyone step forward to be president of the East Hillsborough Democratic Club. I am choking. I'm gonna go get my water. Yes, I am. Thank you, sir. Okay, with none, I'm going to ask third and last time, is there anyone who would like to nominate themselves to or someone else to become president of the East Hillsborough Democratic Club? Can I have, okay, so that was first and seconded. Russ has moved that we allow Reed to take on the presidency. And with that, would you like to go on to the secretarial? I will stop choking now. Okay, so Janet Mullen has been our secretary for now, gosh, forever again. But she wants to stay on. She does an awesome job at secretarial. And I'm going to ask 3 times for nominations from the floor. I'm getting better at this. I'm not choking now. Okay, so can I have a motion for someone to nominate themselves or someone else for secretary of the East Hillsborough Democratic Club? Yeah. With none, I'm going to ask a second time. Is there anyone on Zoom or in the house that would like to nominate themselves or someone else to become secretary of the East Hillsborough Democratic Club?
No.
Nobody's brave. Okay. So I will ask third and last time. Is there anyone that would like to nominate themselves or someone else to become secretary of the East Hillsborough Democratic Club? Janet Nolan, you are our club president. See, I am like all off, and I haven't even had a glass of wine yet. You know. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Mary Shepherd, who is going to introduce our speaker, and I'm looking forward to this. No, Mary, can you come up front, please? And I'm going to go choke myself to death here. There you go. Thank you.
Rob Lorei is one of Tampa Bay's longest running political voice. He comes to us from Erie, Pennsylvania, the oldest of 10 children. He received his bachelor's in journalism in 1977. In 1978, he saw an ad asking for help in starting a community radio station in Tampa. So he packed his bags and he headed south. A 24-year-old Rob and his co-founders went door to door asking for donations. In 1979, WMNF hit the airwaves. Rob has moderated numerous televised political debates, such as, he did the 2002 Attorney General's race. He did the 2003 mayoral race, and 2004 U.S. Senate primaries, and 2006 governor's primaries. And he's interviewed many, many people. I have a few here, but my card was too small to write all of them. He did people like Mayor Pam, Dick Greco, Governor Charlie Crist, former President Jimmy Carter, Bill Moyers, Ralph Nader, Janet Reno, Al Franken, and Senator Bob Grimm, and John Dean. And like I say, card's too small to put in. Just to name a few, yes. Today, Rob is a managing editor and moderator of Florida This Week, a must-see show for the political savvy. He's on Fridays at 8:30 p.m. on PBS's WDU. I have been a fan of Rob's for over 20 years. I used to listen to his daily call-in show at 11 a.m. and have called in several times. I love the way Rob treated everyone with respect, even, in my opinion, they didn't deserve the treatment. And you guys know how opinionated I am. Now I watch Rob on WDU or listen to his podcast. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Rob Lorei.
Thanks.
Ooh, he's tall.
So Mary and Donna, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys on the screen hear me? And yes. Okay, good,
Yep.
good. I want to be, boy, the guy on the beach. Look at that. That's a great. Okay, why is he the one to keep my eye on? Yeah. Oh my God. Well, welcome to the free state of Florida, where woke goes to die. You all feel really free right now, right? Yeah. So I want to talk about woke for a little bit at his campaign appearances and after in promoting his book. The governor has said that this is the state where woke goes to die. But everybody I talk to, including Republicans on my show, don't seem to know what woke is. Nobody seems to know what the heck the governor's talking about. So we do know that when there was the Andrew Warren trial in Tallahassee a few weeks ago, the definition of woke came up. The governor's communications director, Karen Fensky, said woke was a slang term for activism, progressive activism, and a general belief in systemic injustice that exists in the country. And then his general counsel, Ryan Newman, testified it means somebody who believes that there are systematic injustices in the criminal justice system. So this is what woke is. So can imagine, I think we've got to imagine what would happen if a Democrat were put in office and said that we're going to file laws or create laws against against Republican activism or conservative activism. I mean, it just doesn't seem fair, does it? I think the problem with woke is that the definition is so squishy and so hard to understand. So in proceeding to create a state where woke goes to die, the governor has opened the doors to more parents being allowed to challenge books across the state. Now, the parents already had the ability to challenge books in libraries, but the governor's publicized this so much that we have an epidemic of book banning in the state of Florida. So the governor was in town last week having a press conference saying book banning is a hoax. And then he went on to list the books that he had banned. Now some of these books, I think, if I had two kids, I certainly wouldn't want some of these books taught as part of the curriculum, but they were not taught as part of the K through 12 curriculum. They were available in school libraries. And in some cases, these are books dealing with people's health and how to understand, as you're a teenager going through puberty, how to understand what's going on. And also, it had a little bit about sex. I went to Catholic school for we've got to laugh here. Enough said. I'd have to explain that. But there was a pretty comprehensive sex education, even in my Catholic high school. And it was pretty explicit, I got to say. And I still remember how explicit it was. And this is in 10th grade. So I think the governor's trying to go backwards in terms of health education, in terms of giving kids information. So in addition to the books on sex that are being removed from the shelves, the governor has set this huge requirement that technically under the laws, all the books have to be removed from school library shelves, and then reviewed, and then once they pass review, placed back on the shelves. So in Duval County, for instance, in Northeast Florida, that's 1.5 million books. Now, the governor says that the book banning is a hoax, but several books that he mentioned last week have been taken from the shelves and were missing for a year. So there was a book about the great Pittsburgh Pirate player Roberto Clemente. That was taken off the shelves about a year ago, and I think it was just recently put back on because people were complaining. You can't take a book about Roberto Clemente and remove it. But supposedly this book had critical race theory. And if the governor's definition is if there's systemic injustice, maybe it did. Maybe because Roberto was a champion of social justice and died, unfortunately, in that plane crash on his way to deliver human aid or aid to the people of Nicaragua. But there are other books too that have been taken off from the library. One of the books that's missing is Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. It's missing from some schools because somebody challenged it. Across the state, there are individuals who are not necessarily parents who are challenging the books. So there's a group called No Left Turn, and a spokesperson for that group went to the Department of Education and asked that 3,600 books be banned in the state. 3,600. I'm sure he hasn't read any of them, but But this is what's happening as the governor campaigns against woke. And there's Toni Morrison's books are being banned in Pinellas County. They took them off the shelves. Some of the students even protested to ask that Toni Morrison's books be put back on. They still haven't won that. The school board in Pinellas County is so afraid, and includes a few Moms for Liberty back candidates. So they're going to wait until April or May to decide whether or not to return Toni Morrison's books to the shelves in Pinellas County. So that's one thing that the governor's done. He's opened the door to more book banning, and there's a great book, or there's a great group called Floridians for Free Expression, and they monitor all the books that are being challenged and banned. Now, not every book that's challenged is removed from the library shelves. What happens is the book is challenged sometimes, then somebody has to review it, usually the school librarian. And you can imagine the school librarian is overwhelmed with challenges. They've got to read the book and then determine whether or not that book belongs on the shelves and which grades should have access to it. But there's a danger too, and that is that if you believe that one of the books that's been removed is The Kite Runner. If you believe that The Kite Runner is pornography, and a child from in K through 12 gets a hold of it, the governor said the other day that you can be prosecuted for a felony for allowing the child to have that book. Now, the governor says that the governor kind of twists that and said, well, this is a myth. But then he made a point of it in the press conference the other day when he was in Tampa. And it was almost like a threat. It almost like said he was quoting the law and said, remember that if you provide pornography to children, that is a felony. But then later on in the press conference, he said, providing or it's a myth to think that I want to prosecute people for felonies. It is really intimidation. And I think that's the way a lot of teachers feel. And a lot of people that work in the education field feel. The other place where the intimidation is going on is, I think, in the state attorney's offices around the country, where the governor is right now intimidating the Orange County state attorney. But last year he fired Andrew Warren. Last August he fired Andrew Warren. And so there was a great New York Times piece on Sunday about Andrew Warren's firing, in which they were discussing, they were reporting on the internal communications of the governor's office in leading up to firing Andrew Warren. And at one point, the governor asked, well, how's the crime rate in Hillsborough County? And the aide said, well, it's really not that bad. And so the governor struck that from the commentary that he made at the press, the commentary that he made at the press conference. Turns out that Andrew Warren says, and I believe this is true, the crime rate was down in Hillsborough County 30% when he was office. So he took office a few years ago, and since then the crime rate has dropped. Andrew Warren said, well, I don't really support this further ban on abortion, further restriction on abortion, but he was never faced with a case that dealt with abortion. So there's nothing that the governor could point to, no action by Andrew Warren that dealt with abortion. I was thinking of some of the other books. So James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time has been banned. The Handmaid's Tale has been banned in some jurisdictions. And Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things has been taken off the shelves too. These are classic books. They're not pornography. And yet, because I think educators are so afraid, they err on the side of safety, and they don't want to make the mistake and be in the crosshairs of the governor, like somebody like Andrew Warren is right now. The governor when his staff said that we're not going to allow the AP African American History course to be taught in Florida, and really force the makers of that course to change the contents of the course, the governor made the point that he said, well, African American history is already being taught in Florida schools. So if you think about it, in 1994, there was a state law that passed that said African American history ought to be taught in Florida schools. But the numbers on that are that only 11 of the state's 67 counties meet all the benchmarks for teaching African-American history set by the state. So even though the law is on the books, the governor says it's happening, only 11 counties are really meeting up to the requirement. And some people who are on a task force that looks at Black history being taught in the state of Florida find that some districts don't even know the requirement and don't enforce the requirement among their teachers. So I figured I'll talk for just a few more minutes. I'm just like overwhelmed with the number of news stories that are out there about Florida and about the governor, about things that we ought to pay attention to. South Florida website called the Florida Bulldog reported 2 weeks ago, and the Florida Bulldog is run by people that used to work at the Miami Herald, reported 2 weeks ago that the governor okayed and sanctioned torture at Guantanamo when he was stationed there in Cuba a few years ago.
Wow.
And the reason why we might pay attention to the story is that one of the people who was tortured and force-fed has come out publicly and said, this happened to me, and DeSantis was the legal officer there and allowed it, gave it the okay to happen. Is that true? Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Florida Bulldog. Yeah. So far, none of the Miami Herald has reported on it, but none of the local press has reported on that allegation. And I think at this point it's an allegation, but I think it's worth studying to see whether or not the governor was involved in okaying torture. There's an interesting side note too, and that is that the governor's not only disliked among people that believe in civil liberties, but the governor's also disliked by some far-right conservatives. So Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, I was just out at Ollie's the other day. You guys go to Ollie's, which is a kind of a discount store way in West Tampa. Got a lot of cheap stuff. Do you have an Ollie's over here?
No.
Yeah. So I walked into Ollie's the other day, and there's this big stack of My Pillow pillows there at a discount, like a deep discount. So I think the guy might be having some trouble. So anyway, the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, questioned a few weeks ago whether or not DeSantis legitimately won the 2022 election. He said that he looked at the numbers and that especially in Miami-Dade, there was a deviation from the norm. And he says, anytime you see unusual statistics, unusual voting turnout, unusual results, then that's evidence of a problem. So Mike Lindell is not a fan, at least right now, of Governor Ron DeSantis. That he's a deviation from the norm, or so. But with the if I was still doing my radio show, these would be the kind of stories I would talk about every day. And with the decline in newspapers, the Tampa Tribune is gone. The Tampa Bay Times is just a shadow of what it used to be. The Sarasota Herald Tribune, that's being kind, yeah. The Sarasota Herald Tribune has some great reporters, but it's a shadow of itself. Creative Loafing has stepped up. Have you guys been reading Creative Loafing? They're doing a really good job. Justin Garcia has been reporting a lot about the city of Tampa and the police chief in the city of Tampa. He's the one that broke the story about the video where the police chief of Tampa was tooling around in Oldsmar on their golf cart without a license plate on the back, maybe drunk, and then showed their business card to the Pinellas Sheriff's deputy and then got off scot-free. But anyway, Justin's moving to the Tampa Bay Times, so he won't be reporting on the city of Tampa, but let's hope that Creative Loafing has the juice to keep going. But there's a lot going on. So there's a huge environmental law that's being considered in Tallahassee, and it would, among other things, take away protection for wetlands and give the authority over wetlands from the local EPCs to the state. Now, the state, under Rick Scott and under this current government, have really decimated the Department of Environmental Protection. But now the state wants to take away that local power and give it to Tallahassee. And they're going to be enforcing wetlands protection and all that. Yeah. And then there's another part of this bill that would allow more sprawl. And we used to have really strong growth laws protecting our precious environment, but part of this bill would allow more urban sprawl. And some of the critics are calling it the sprawl session. This session of the legislature is the session of sprawl. You guys all hear about the political prisoner in the villages?
Oh,
So this has to do with development. So the guys, and it's mostly guys, who developed the villages decided we're not going to tax the home builders or the developers of the strip malls and make them pay for sewer, roads, schools, etc., any of the infrastructure. We're going to make the people of the villages pay for the infrastructure. Well, two guys, retirees, got hip to this. I'm sure they're Republicans because they ran as Republicans. They got hip to this, and the leaders of the villages, the owners of the properties, were trying to expand even further. And these two guys said, "Wait a minute, we don't want to pay for the developers coming in or the home builders coming in. We want to put the costs on them. We don't want to see our property taxes rise." So these two guys ran for the county commission, I think in Sumter County. Villages covers 2 counties, but I'm pretty sure it was Sumter County, and tried to roll back the taxes on the homeowners and put it on the developers. So they were trying to increase impact fees in Sumter County and the villages. Well, the newspaper is owned by the developers of the villages. The radio station is owned by the developers of the villages. The political connections up there, there's a legislator from that district. He is bought and paid for by the developers of the villages. So they went 100% against these two county commissioners who were Republicans, and first of all got them removed, but then got one of them on trumped up charges because one of the county commissioners had a wife who was an animal rights activist. That he still has his wife, and she wanted to develop a new animal shelter in the villages, and so the county was going to pay for it. So the wife of the county commissioner is discussing the building of a potential animal shelter in the villages. Well, according to Florida Sunshine Law, if you're an elected official and you're discussing public business with somebody else that wants something to be done and you're doing it in private, that's a violation of the Sunshine Law. So the local state attorney up there came down on this county commissioner, not just with a misdemeanor charge, came down on this guy with a felony charge. And he was convicted because it's kind of one party government up there, and the villages control it all. Village owners control it all. So there is a political prisoner in the villages. And he's a Republican, yeah.
no kidding.
But I don't know, he might still be a Republican. I don't know. And one of the tactics they used in fighting this county commissioner was they said to the county commissioner, or rather the county commissioner was running for re-election, and they said, "Don't re-elect these two guys, they're communists," because they want to tax the developers. Status quo. Stay the way it was. Yeah, so and the people in the villages don't know why their taxes are rising, because the local newspaper doesn't tell them, the local radio station doesn't tell them, and they're paying through the nose for their property taxes in the villages. I mean, it seems like the perfect Republican issue, right? For the county commission to take on. So let's see. We've got Blaise Ngolia, who wants to ban the Democratic Party, state senator. He says that what he's doing is that he's just trolling the Democrats. But we've got really essentially a one-party government in Tallahassee, because beginning with redistricting in the 1990s and going through the Jeb Bush years and everything else that more and more Republicans have gained power in Tallahassee. Because they gained power, they got more and more of the campaign contributions. And now the Republicans have a super majority in the Florida House, the Florida Senate, and they there's no elected Democrats statewide in the state of Florida. So we're dealing essentially with a one-party state.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's celebrating. Yeah, so the story about Blaise Ingoglia, who's a state senator, former chair of the Republican Party of the state of Florida, he says, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make illegal any party that in any part of its life supported slavery. Well, the Democrats did support slavery if you go back 150 years or so, but that has nothing to do with the modern Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, especially beginning with FDR and then going through Kennedy and Johnson, was a champion of the civil rights movement. But Blaise Ingoglia claims, okay, I'm just trolling. I don't really want to ban the Democratic Party, but we'll see where it goes because they've got all the power. So conceivably. Exactly. Yeah. You guys all know about the Southern strategy, right? So, so we've got a governor who's focused on cultural issues, but so the other day I was driving to the state fair and I got off at 301. I came from South Tampa and I'm on 301. It's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and it is bumper to bumper traffic. And then the other day I was trying to go to Sarasota, but I came this way and then it was going to go down 75, tried to get down to Sarasota, bumper to bumper traffic. On Howard Avenue in Tampa, near where I live, bumper to bumper traffic. I mean, it's incredible. So we've got this incredible transportation problem that the governor's not dealing with. I mean, he's dealing with the social issues. Insurance companies, you saw the Washington Post story the other day that said that insurance companies, when it comes to Hurricane Ian, are not paying the full damages that they're required to pay. So the Washington Post had one story in which a couple had incurred $200,000 in damages from Hurricane Ian, and its insurance company is only going to pay him $27,000. And that happened in the Washington Post documented case after case after case where insurance companies are ripping people off here in the state of Florida. I don't know about you, but my homeowner's insurance, more than doubled 2 years ago, and it stayed up there. So I can't find affordable homeowners insurance. They said that the special session the legislature did last year is going to fix that problem. It's not going to fix the problem. It hasn't fixed it this year. It's not going to fix it. They think the biggest problem is lawsuits by families that live in homes and greedy lawyers. But I don't think that's the problem. I think what we've got, and Lawrence Maurer did a great story for the Tampa Bay Times about greedy insurance companies. So an insurance company will start up, and if it gets 7 or 8 good years of good weather, it'll make a lot of money. It'll pay its CEO a lot of money. It'll pay its shareholders a lot of money. And then when it comes to the hurricane, if it comes, then they declare bankruptcy. They've already paid off all their investors and they paid off their CEOs and their top people, and now they're out of the state. They're out of business. And Maurer pointed out this happens over and over again. But these are the kinds of issues. We've got a teacher shortage in the state of Florida. There's the estimate is that 100,000 students go to class every day and don't have a regular teacher. They have a substitute or somebody else that fills in. So we've got this incredible teacher shortage. We've got the transportation problem. We've got the insurance problem. We've also got this. Florida is becoming increasingly unaffordable. So Miami was named the most unaffordable city for housing in the nation, but Tampa and Orlando have not that far behind. So in Miami, rent takes up 60% of a household income. 60%. When I was growing up, it was supposed to be 25%, and now they've raised it to 30%. But the figure is in Tampa, rent takes up 45% of a household income, and in Orlando, it's 37%. but you don't hear Tallahassee doing anything about it. In fact, Tallahassee, if anything, is doing something to make it worse. And that is, some younger activists want rent control. And so they've gone to cities like St. Petersburg and Orlando and Tampa and demanded of their city council, do some rent control here. The city councils really haven't acted, but in Tallahassee, they're trying to make it illegal for any local city government to do rent control. And this happens over and over again, where Tallahassee is trying to take away power, preemption. Thank you. You should be up here, Reed. So, okay. Tallahassee's trying to preempt local governments, everything from protecting trees to living wage ordinances to making affordable housing more available. The other thing is utility companies. Next month, Duke Energy is going to raise rates for its customers by 20%. TECO or Tampa Electric is about to raise its rates by 10%. Did it already do that? Yeah. What's it say? TECO?
TECO Power Service, McAdams Power Station.
Yeah. You were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Managing director of JP Morgan Chase.
Incredible. That's incredible. Well, anyway, so the governor's not doing anything about rising utility costs, and puts on people on the Public Service Commission that will do the utility company's bidding, and not really care about the fact that if you're living on a fixed income and you take a 20% hit in your utility bill, that's going to make it harder and harder to live in Florida. In fact, some people call Florida the most unaffordable state because of all these rising costs. So we've got the state that's built on gerrymandering and dark money and the power of big corporations. This really, the Republicans have a death grip on control in Tallahassee. I don't think that Democrats are perfect. I think Democrats have made mistakes. I voted for Republicans many times in my life, but not nationally. I'll say that. But for local people, I found some Republicans that I think are doing a good job. There's a bill right now that would allow permitless carry in the legislature, and they're limiting public comment on this bill to 1 minute. So if your family's been affected by gun violence and you've got a story to tell and you want to appeal to the legislators, not to make guns more extant in the state of Florida, you have a minute to tell your story. So the legislators clearly don't want to hear from people. And the number of gun deaths in the U.S. far outpaces any other developed nation in the world. But this is what happens when you have a one-party government in control. It's not good for democracy, not good for the environment, not good for people, and not good for freedom. And so, yeah. So, Mary.
Didn't mention anything about the libel, the law that DeSantis is trying to keep people from saying things about him in the paper.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing, there's two things. He wants bloggers that write about him to pay a $25 fee, which is against the First Amendment, no matter how you slice it. But if you don't pay the fee, then it can accumulate to $2,500. And so there would be a big penalty on you if you don't do that. But the other thing that the governor wants to do is he wants to make it easier for people who claim to be defamed like him to sue it's punching down is what it is. He wants to make it easier to sue people. He's a powerful person. He wants to make it easier to say, well, yeah. So stories like, the allegation that the governor okayed torture in Guantanamo could be a target for that law. Doris?
You didn't mention anything about my heart higher education.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, Rob is an old buddy, and I was around in the days at the beginning of MNF. But he didn't mention anything about the heart of my heart at higher education. my husband was president of United Faculty of Florida and a number of other organizations dedicated to academic freedom. And so I write a weekly column for La Gazzetta, and I talked about it. I'll talk about it in Friday's column, how magically, without any input that I know of from any of us, FSU is going to have a new medical research facility. That's right. That's right. And, you know, completely, FSU didn't even have a medical school until the day before yesterday. And Tallahassee has one hospital. And obviously this will take resources away from USF and other institutions. But my point was, the press release on this ended, the last paragraph was attracting talent. And I said, who the hell is going to want to move to Tallahassee to do medical research, aside from this being a cultural oasis in the Panhandle, with DeSantis in charge? Nobody's going to want to come. We're losing people left and right, talented people who don't want to live in Florida.
I'll just say one thing. I mean, it's a really deep topic, but I'll just say something really quickly, and that is New College for years has complained about the dorms on campus and complained about the lack of state funding from Tallahassee. So as you know, the governor's trying to take over New College. He thinks it's a liberal hotbed. You know, I had Matt Newton on from La Gazzetta the other day, who was a graduate of New College, and he's now a big-time attorney in the city of Tampa. And the governor's complaint is the classics are not taught at New College. Well, Matt is an expert on the classics, and he went to New College, and he can name, you know, Plato and Aristotle, but he can also name the newer philosophers too. So the governor, you know, suddenly, by ignoring New College for all these years, suddenly is able to double the salary of the new president. So the old president gets about $300,000 plus benefits. New president Richard Corcoran gets about $600,000 or $700,000, and then if you tie in the bonuses and all the incentives, he gets $1 million. So where did the governor get this money from? New College for years has been begging for the state to reinvest in the campus, and the governor suddenly comes up with all sorts of money, and he's promising $15 million more to invest in New College. Where did that money come from? You know, Richard Corcoran went to Regent University, which is a Christian, a fundamentalist, conservative college. He was the Speaker of the House. He was the Education Commissioner, and now he's the president of New College, but very tight to Governor DeSantis. Yeah.
He is making almost as much money as the top two presidents for Florida and Florida State. New College has what, 600 students?
Yeah, 600 or 700.
40 to 50,000 student range. So if you prorate the salary based upon the student head count, NBC's Nightly News used to do a Fleecing of America segment for a number of years. And this is a fleecing of the Florida taxpayer and the Florida education system.
It's funny because during his State of the State speech last week, the governor said, we've got the #1 university system in the country, but yet he's dismantling it. And he's and when it comes to academic freedom, when it comes to tenure, when it comes to disrupting, you know, professors' lives, he's not afraid to do that, but yet he boasts about how good the system is. Well, the system was good because of the previous leadership in Tallahassee and the previous legislature.
Was part of a group of candidates that was in the conversation to become president at Florida State, and the alumni base got so riled up about that he got taken off the table.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean that he wasn't out of the conversation for the next opportunity to fleece the Florida taxpayers in the education system by getting this New College job. So it really is. It's egregious on so many different.
It really is. It's a great point. You guys know it better than I do. So, hey, thank you for coming out and thanks for listening to me.
Email. You have to hold the button or anything?
Hi, my name's Reed, and I'm going to do my best to follow this. This is my first time through this, so bear with me. Looks like we don't have any other candidates and other officials to speak. So we're going right into our business meeting with our normal reports. And we're going to start with Walt Seeley and his treasury report. So I'm going to walk back and give him the microphone. And when Walt's done, he will pass the mic on to Janet Mullen, who will give us the secretary's report.
Okay, our balance today in the account is $2,653.87. $2,653.87.
The secretarial minutes were approved at the board meeting. And they're, Chris puts them out with our normal report. What do you call it? Okay. So back to you, Reed.
Okay. Thank you, Walt. Thank you, Janet. Next, we're into old business, and that is basically talking about the spring fling, which to remind everyone, it's April the 15th, and it's one of our, Hillsborough County DEC's major fundraising raising events. The other one, of course, being the Kennedy King Dinner. And I believe that we are sponsoring through this club what's known as a garnet table. And that's at the $500 level, which has 4 tickets. And we have the right to put our club banner at the event, which of course we will. There are also more tickets available online. And just to let you know, at the steering committee last night, Mr. Hennessy said we've sold this event out 3 years running, and we expect to do so again this year. So if you really want to go, you need to really get yourself going to get a ticket while they last. And I'm very happy if they do again sell out. They are available online. And I assume you can get them through the HCDEC website.
For anyone who wants to attend the spring fling, we voted as a board to, if you go online and buy their ticket through the East Hillsborough Democratic Club, it's $40, and we're going to pick up the balance. It'll be general seating. It won't be at the table because there's only 4 places, but if you want to go, we're going to be offering that for the club members.
Thank you so much. Mark, do you have something to add?
It's up for a reason. Yes, sir. It also is worth noting that Nikki Freed, our new FDP chair, has agreed to become be the guest speaker. So we did not get the FDP chair who was recently removed from that position. So it's kind of so kind of refreshing to see that Nikki's going to be there, and that should be exciting and add a lot to the event. Thank you, Reed.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, let's get back to the agenda here. Old business. Okay, new business. Well, new business is something that is very important to this club and will continue to be so. We're just going to keep doing a little bit extra, which we've started to do over the last year through the comradeship and collegiality of people like Rudina Richter and Vanessa Lester, and last year's vice chair of outreach, which was Michael Spangler. But like I said, near and dear to our heart, and Mr. Walt Hall here, I'm sorry, Emmett will be our cook at our picnic, which is going to be held on May 6th. It's the same venue as always on Bloomingdale. What's the name of the park? I'm sorry. Paul Sanders Park. And we'll be getting out the flyers and the advertisements for that very soon, since May 6th is not that far away. And we also will again be doing the 4th of July parade. As you know, last year, it was a little funny because the individual responsible for the Brandon parade was out of commission, I believe, through personal illness. And we ended up luckily finding a workaround, which is sponsoring with one of the other clubs, and we work together with them. but the 4th of July parade is a go, and it is in Brandon this year. So it is in Brandon, and we'll be getting on that. And I'm not up to speed on that yet. And I'll hang on. Donna, you're allowed to speak.
Everybody buy candy. Remember the hard candy? We give it out to all the kids.
Okay. Okay. So those are going forward. Nothing's going to change on that. One thing that we may have to consider, because I understand our membership has just recently increased somewhat, actually substantially, and we may not be able to continue to meet here if enough people that join start coming in person, because right now the numbers are such they wouldn't fit in here. Now that would be a nice problem to have. I don't know if it's going to manifest that way or if we're going to have a lot of Zoom members, but we're just going to have to play it by ear. The goal is to increase the membership of the club. The goal is to keep doing what we're doing, but also do more things to help get Democrats elected. You know, as you heard from our speaker, and you'll hear from me, and if you're not on my email or text chain, well, people who are know how seriously I take this. I agree with everything that Mr. Lorei said, and then some. I am an incurable news junkie, and a lot of people get my stuff, and if they want to ignore it and delete it, that's fine. But if not, I am your news collector, curator, and disseminator, so you know what's going on of most import to us, we Democrats. Okay. Yeah. I subscribe to about everything under the sun, and I use my gift articles. You're allowed to send 10 out per month for each, the Washington Post and New York Times, but that doesn't stop me. I cut and paste. I'm the master of cut and paste. I cut and paste, and I do it without even thinking about it, and I'll send them out. So if you don't mind having me as your personal curator, you can be as up to speed as Mr. Lorei is, or I am. All you have to do is choose which ones I send out that you want to read and just delete the rest. Okay. Other thing I have to talk about is Vicki Lowry, who is not here tonight. She is our membership person. And we need to work on getting our membership data a little bit better organized and up to date. We got some holes in it. We got to try to do a little bit better. Just to let you know, there is an issue that we got to try to do better on that, because it does have potential implications for the ongoing good status of our club. And we want to make sure we don't run afoul of issues vis-a-vis complying with our bylaws, which are, they come to us from the DEC, and we have to get and stay in compliance with them. I am not yet an expert on our bylaws. Vicki Lowry is. Russ Kahn, who is someone I know well and was here earlier, I don't know where he is now. He is probably the best expert I know of in terms of bylaws in general, and as a former vice chair of outreach for the DEC a cycle or two ago, I'll be relying on him to tutor me and getting up to speed in what I need to know, because we have to stay in compliance with that, because I do not want to have to hear informally, which I have heard informally, the word decertification thrown around as a possibility, and that will not happen on my watch. Okay, so that's all I have right now. Obviously, I'm brand new to this. I got to learn things. I've got to, take over from Donna some of the administrative things, and meet with all my board members that have had their respective jobs a lot longer than I've even been here, and learn from them. So bear with me as I do this. Now I'd like to throw it open for discussion and questions from anybody in the Zoom audience. Anybody here physically, please go ahead. And I don't know how we're going to do this with the people on Zoom, because our audio isn't very good, that what they say gets to you. We don't have the speakers up that Donna and I aren't good at as this. Chris Radulich is. I'll try to be better by next month. So anybody, I need you to just put up, on the Zoom side, put up your hand, you raise your hand, it's down the reactions, down in the bottom, you make it pop up where it says chat and all that, there's reactions. You raise your hand if you have a question and we'll see it here. And obviously anybody here, just put up your hand if you have any questions. Nothing, anything? Oh, Mark, thank you. I'd be disappointed if somebody didn't put up their hand.
So there was commentary either during the meeting or prior to the meeting starting about the homeowners insurance issue. I'm going to plug my homeowners insurance because Jeff Italiano has been a longtime friend. His family owns Italiano Insurance in Tampa. The phone number is 813-877-7799. And I say that because last year, as soon as my repay, and it was like doubled, I just sent the check in. Well, a week before that policy that was previously in place was done, worked itself out, they canceled my insurance. So I'd already sent them the 20 something $100. And I'm thinking, wow, I have to get insurance and I'm hoping they'll give me, part of or all my money back. And when I went, and Doug is my contact at Italiano Insurance, and he got me a policy that covered at every level that I had in the previous policy, but for less than what I paid for the previous year. So if you shop, I don't like to shop that kind of stuff, but when the insurance company tries to, double or triple your insurance, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So Italiano's been in business for 50 plus years. They're a rock solid company. Again, I know the owner and the family, and I can't recommend them enough. So again, the number is 813-877-7799. They're on McDill in South Tampa, and they have most of my insurance on everything. But yeah, they represent all sorts of insurance companies. So it is a mega possibility of so many different nooks and crannies to get your insurance. Yeah. Yeah, it is not, Mariella, but thank you. But I mentioned that because, again, my insurance got canceled and I had to go through the jumping of the hoops. And not only was I able to get my insurance done, but I got it at a price better than it was the previous year. So who doesn't like to save a buck?
I know.
Thank you, Reed.
Okay. I just wanted to say that the Italiano family insurance business goes back to when, maybe before this, but when I became aware of them, they were supporting Ruben Askew for governor, and Askew was a great governor. Our sunshine laws, our financial disclosure, all of that was Askew's work. And so the Italianos are good Democrats.
Before my time, I came here. I've been here 21 years. I came here in June of 2001. So I never ever lived here under a Democratic governor. I believe Ruben Askew was the last Democratic governor of the state of Florida. No?
Yeah, Lawton Childs, and between them, Bob Graham.
Bob Graham.
1998, and Jeb, that things changed.
Okay, Lawton Childs. Okay. Sorry, I said all before my time. Just legends of Democrats running this state, I'm afraid, not in my own personal history here. All right. Well, if nobody else has any questions or anything, we're going to shut the Zoom down. And if anybody's interested in staying for a few minutes, I'll take what Mr. Lorei told us, and I'll tell you where it is. It's a step worse in several of the topics he brought up. One is the gun situation in Tallahassee. I am a weird bird. I am a gun person. That's a Democrat, and I come to it. I was a reenactor throughout the bicentennial, and so I'm into the muzzle loading and black powder, and so that's why I know something about guns. And it's even worse what the game that the DeSantis is playing in Tallahassee. You know, we're going to get the law passed. It's inevitable. We can work against it. We should. I'm not saying don't, but it's going to pass. He's playing a game with the next level up, and he's being pressured on the right to do it. You go beyond permitless concealed carry into something known as open carry, which is, and there's somebody else in the country, Tennessee, Missouri, who are allowing 10-year-old children to march down the street with a loaded AR-15 on their shoulder and applauding that as the full exercise of their Second Amendment rights. And DeSantis is playing this cute game. He's saying, well, I'd sign it if it was put in front of me. And of course, he's arranged with the people in Tallahassee that he controls that they say, well, we're not going to go that far. So Death Santis is able to have it both ways for the MAGA base and stuff like that. But anyhow, hang on, coming to you. And make sure you mention your name.
Bob Coppersmith. I guess there's a proposal now under the whole gun thing to do away with the safeguards they put in after the horrific stuff down in South Florida at Parkland. Kids under 18 buy guns.
Yeah, that's something else. Rick Scott is supporting. He was the one that immediately raised the age in Florida. You could not buy a firearm until you're 21, either a pistol or a rifle, which is surprising for Florida. I'm glad we did it. That's actually quite an accomplishment for a red state. So the people that have been pushing, you know, the March for Lives with David Hogg and all the kids that went through that, they've done a wonderful thing. But now Death Santis wants to roll that back to make it 18 again. And there's a split on that between Rick Scott, of course, defending his policy, and Death Santis, who wants to show how much Trumpier he is than Trump. Okay. Anyhow, that's all I've got. I want to thank you all very much. And I look forward to working with you all. So we're going to turn off Zoom.
Reed, hello?
Okay.
I just had one thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. I just wanted to thank Donna Lee for all the years and thousands of hours that she put into keeping this club going for the last, what was it, Donna, 7 or 8 years. She did a wonderful job.
I'm going to repeat what you said if you give me a sec.
Okay.
What I'm asked to relay here is that we should all give a very large and loud and long round of applause for Donna Ford, who has held this job for 7 years, far more than she should have. And she did an excellent job and put in thousands of hours, and we need to give her a really nice hand. And thank you very much for reminding me to do that. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned, and thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you next month.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is that Mariella Smith?
Hi, Mariella.
Hey, good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
When are we going to clap for Donna?
Well, we did.
Oh.